All right, hey, what's going on, guys? So this video is going to be pretty important. I want to outline how it is that God may be looking at a group of people, a country, a nation, whatever it is, in a certain time period, and how he has been so consistent throughout history, but how he's working even right now. The possibility of how to look at God and how he treats the world through the same lens that he's always treated the world throughout history. And so God isn't an inconsistent God. I've talked about that before. He didn't have this Old Testament and then, the Mosaic law and sacrificing sheep, all that went away because Christ came, he died for us. He was the ultimate sacrifice, but he still operates through, yes, this time through the body of Christ, and salvation is for everybody, not just for the Israelites, but he's operating similarly in terms of cause and effect, how it impacts people, if they're righteous, if they get blessed, if they get punished, if there's wickedness, he wants to purge. And there's all these consequences for sin, generational things, and just how people pray. If people pray for something and he grants those prayers, if he makes covenants or promises, and of course the ultimate covenants have been with the Israelites in the Bible. And what I mean by covenant is that he answers certain prayers because people have been faithful and diligent. And so there's all these things in motion, right? And I was asking the Lord to show me something in the passage that would help illustrate this. And I kid you not, I opened the Bible. I literally opened the Bible and it was right there in front of me. And I opened it to Deuteronomy chapter 9. And I just want to read this to you guys because it's a beautiful illustration of how God looks at the Israelites, but how it could possibly mean what it would be for the people of today and certain nations and things like that. And specifically, if you're in America. And in chapter 9, it says, "Hear, O Israel, you are to cross over the Jordan today and go in to dispossess nations greater and mightier than yourself, cities great and fortified up to heaven, people great and tall, the descendants of Anakim, whom you know and of whom you heard it said, who can stand before the descendants of Anak? Therefore, understand today that the Lord your God is he who goes over before you as a consuming fire. He will destroy them and bring them down before you. So you shall drive them out and destroy them quickly, as the Lord has said to you. Do not think in your heart after the Lord your God has cast them out before you, saying, because of my righteousness, the Lord has brought me in to possess this land. But it is because of the wickedness of these nations that the Lord is driving them out from before you. It is not because of your righteousness or the uprightness of your heart that you go in to possess their land, but because of the wickedness of these nations that the Lord your God drives them out from before you, and that he may fulfill the word which the Lord swore to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Therefore, understand that the Lord your God is not giving you this good land to possess because of your righteousness, for you are a stiff-necked people." And then it goes on. But basically, you can get an insight, right, of how causality works. God already gave promises and covenants, and he allowed people to go through the wilderness. He delivered people. And because at the individual level, there are some people that are righteous, they are the remnant, they pray, they're faithful, and God, because they're pleased with them, and when they pray and when they desire things, then it impacts the people around them, it impacts generations before them, and many things like that. So God doesn't have this one-to-one thing, like just because you're bad and just because you're good, I'm going to treat you. I mean, he does that at the individual level. He may have blessed you in your business or your career or something. He may bless your family, but then he has to work at the higher level. He has to work among people groups, right? There's some groups that are more faithful. I've talked about this in the last few videos. There are other people that may be less faithful. So he has to work out like how to navigate maybe rising one up, reducing one down, having them take land or not take land. So he's almost micromanaging all these things in his sovereignty, and he's thinking through all these other things that have happened before for the Israelites, people that have prayed, and his covenants and all this stuff. So that's why he's clearly saying it's not because you're righteous, because you did this or that or any of these other things because they are a stiff-necked people. It was because of these other reasons. And I say this because with the Israelites, there's always periods of blessing, of difficulty as a group. And then at the individual level, he has people like Job. He blesses because he was doing the will of God, right? He was righteous before God. So he has all these different things happening. And if you apply that to now, because God is a consistent God, God has blessed even this nation. He's blessed many nations. But in particular, I want to use the United States as an example. He blessed this nation because, quite possibly the forefathers, right? The Puritans that came over, the original people that made the Constitution. He knew that these people were men after God's own heart, that they wanted to start a nation. And again, they're all sinful people in whatever way they are. But under that sort of covenant, they wanted to start this nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, and even the Pledge of Allegiance, right? So all of these things, because it started early, He's allowed it for generations to kind of grow. And this is one example. And maybe you can take South Korea. I talked about that the other day. You can take other nations and you can apply that same thought, right? Because God, He allows, because of a certain remnant, because of people that have been fervently praying on behalf of other people, He will allow at His will and at His discretion certain things to happen where evil people get pushed out, for land to be driven into good people's hands, or maybe temporarily into evil people's hands to maybe train them or, grow them, or whatever the reason God has, right? Similar to the Israelites. He has all this orchestrated in His grand sovereign plan. The problem is people only look at their life like Job's life, like in the moment of their boils and just being in that suffering. They don't really connect the upper levels of what happens in the world and government and people groups to their individual life, right? And so that's why people get caught in this trap of thinking, oh, no, just focus on Jesus in your own home, your closet. Don't think about politics. Don't pray about this. And they don't know what to pray about. They cope with that, with their understanding of not knowing the times and understanding what's going on, with saying being absent and abstinent from it. And so that's why people get into these camps of, no, you shouldn't mix religion and politics and all this stuff. It's because they don't understand at the high level what's going on. And that's why, similar to the past, God sometimes has to just outright send prophetic voices to declare certain things that will happen in the future, or He will bring very intelligent people that understand maybe they're not necessarily prophetic, but they will understand what's going on in behind closed doors and what's going on, just within the government or other things, and declare it to other people. The problem is we have false media, we have the false prophets of the mainstream media, and all these people that are giving disinformation, and it's confusing people. And so that's why people are tired and exhausted. They don't want to listen to it. They don't know what to do except to tune it out. And so what I'm saying here is that God is working right now to help, and I've said this before, and I'll do this in other videos, but He's driving out the wickedness of this land in this season, and He's allowing the restoration of the church. He's allowing the second term of this Trump presidency and many other things to happen, right? And I've connected this before, but God is not an inconsistent God. He's already granted and answered prayers, and He's allowed certain things, just like this covenant, right? To have the Israelites go into the land. So many people right now, they're confused. They're turning away from God. They're like, I've had it. He's not answering my prayer or the nation's prayer within the time frame that, we've wanted Him to answer it. But He's working in all of that, right? He's extending it. People are being tested. Those that are standing firm, they're being rewarded for their steadfastness and many other things. So right now, I've said a lot, but basically it comes down to the fact that God is consistent. He's working in nations. He's working in this nation right now. But you have to remember that God is not just a God who just is about Jesus Christ and your individual relationship. Yeah, that's important. That's critical. And that replaced the Mosaic Law. It replaced all the different things of, sacrificing the sheep and doing all these things. So He has that base covered. But then as you go up, God works in the nations and the cities and the sovereignty of politics and social movements and all this different stuff, right? Because he wants to, again, get all the glory. He wants people to become more Christ-like and to tear down these, idols and all this stuff so that people can have a righteous and God-centered nation at all levels, your household, or first rather your own life, and then your family and, your community, your church, and just as you go up like that, right? And so that's why he's working in all this, even though there's a lot of people to my left and to the right who are stiff-necked people, just like, with the Israelites. There's other people that are a remnant. They are praying, they are faithful, and they are able to sort of hold up everybody else in a way, right? And I'm not saying they're better or whatever else. Everyone God sees as, human, and he loves everybody. But certain people, because he's seen them as faithful, he's promised them things, he's fulfilling that throughout generations, and he has to micromanage all this stuff. Despite the Israelites being rebellious and being a stiff-necked people, he still delivered them. Because there's so many bad people right now, people that are bashing even prophets, bashing, the people that God has elected and has anointed. People are bashing an understanding of the world and the news. He's still using the remnant. He's using people that are faithful, and he's holding true to his promise. And that's what's going on right now. And so I'll talk more about that. But for now, be blessed by this. Deuteronomy 9, please read it yourself. God bless you guys. I love you guys. And I'll talk to you guys very soon.